From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the Body Shop Business Podcast.
Hey there, it's Jason Stahl with another episode of Body Shop Business, the podcast. And my special guest today is Jason Bartonen, who is the founder and chief technician advocate at Collision ProAssist. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks for having me, Jason. Appreciate it. Good to see you as always.
You're welcome and good to see you. And you know, you and I go back quite a long ways. I'm going to say close to 20 years. You were the first person that I met at iCar, and that was my first visit, I believe, to Illinois at the iCar office. So that's kind of your background, iCar. You also worked at Collision Hub for a while, and now you've gone on your own and started Collision ProAssist. So Jason, besides having the best first name you could ever have for a guy, we share that. Tell me about this Collision ProAssist. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I was at iCar for a number of years, 23 years actually, and then another 6 years at Collision Hub. And Collision ProAssist is kind of the culmination, I think, of a lot of those years and combining a lot of my connections and a lot of things that I've done in the past, and trying to help the technicians and kind of and build the future and strengthen the future a little bit. My grandfather opened a body shop in 1939 in Ishpeming, Michigan. It's a shop that's run today yet by a couple of cousins of mine. So I've been in this industry long before my life even began. And although I've never been a day-to-day on the line technician, I've kind of got technician blood running through me, and I wanted to do something for technicians. And you know, the men and women that fix cars every single day are the reason that I've had a career, and the reason are that, you know, that body shop business exists and all these tool equipment product makers. And I felt, and I still feel, that historically they've been the most kind of underserved group in our industry, right? They don't get to go to you don't see technicians at SEMA very often. You don't see technicians at regional and state association meetings, and all the great content that's at those events, all the great tools and equipment and all the expertise that's there. They never get to interact with those individuals, and you know, they're back home fixing cars. And so I was trying to work on a way to better help technicians in pursuit of proper repairs, being able to help them with technical questions, with educational support. We've often bucketed education kind of into events. We've talked about education training as an event, right? It's a 15-minute online course, or it's a 2-hour classroom, or a 3-day hands-on. And I'm trying to get away from the event focus and focus more on what exactly does that technician need, when they need it, custom tailored training and education and services to each technician, when they need it, how they need it, and just trying to make their lives a lot better. And that's what the birth of Collision ProAssist is, to really help and assist collision professionals, especially the technicians. And at iCar, we kind of a larger industry-wide perspective. I think at Collision Hub, we focused a lot more on the shop. And now I'm taking it directly to the technician and trying to help each individual technician with their unique individual training needs and education needs and resource needs.
Interesting. And I want, before we go any further, I love this title, Chief Technician Advocate. Explain to me what that symbolizes, because that's what you're calling yourself.
Yeah. So what I was trying to come up with, what am I going to call myself? How do I kind of brand myself, if you will, as the leader of this organization? And of course, I think I kind of went down the typical path of it's CEO and president, and like none of that like really resonated with me, right? That's not like who I am. Like I'm a car guy, and I've got that technician blood in me, and as I was going through, and I did a lot, actually. My team consisted of myself and some peers in the industry, and a little bit of Chat GPT, and then having a conversation with Chat GPT one day. We were just kind of going back and forth, kind of figuring a few things, and all of a sudden it just kind of popped into my head. I'm like, well, this is really, I'm focusing on the technicians. I want to be an advocate for the technicians. And so that's kind of where Chief Technician Advocate came from. So I want to have that founder part of there, because I think it's important again, this is something that I created, and I came up with this concept of these ideas, and I wanted to have that, that it means something to me, right? Like it's important to me, and that's where that kind of founder part came up, part of it. But again, as I was trying to think about like, what do I call myself? That chief technician advocate really resonated with me, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to be an advocate for the technicians, so that when I'm out at an event, I've historically been this way. I'm thinking about the technician. How is this technology, this tool, this presentation, this whatever, how does that resonate? How's it going to impact the men and women that are fixing the cars? And so I'm going to be an advocate for them, and I'm going to be at events and communicate with them and connect them with the right people, and just focus on that advocacy.
Yeah, and so I went to your website before the podcast, and I saw Back Bay, and I see it on your shirt. Tell me what Back Bay is.
Yeah, so Back Bay is one of my services that I'm offering. It's going to be a bit of a slow ramp up on kind of getting enough technicians in there, but I really think that it can be a huge support system for technicians. So I think about it working on a car, right? I'm a technician. I've got a problem in front of me, whether it's I don't know if there's a section procedure. I don't know what material's made of. I don't know if my welder isn't tuning properly, or I'm having troubles with that adhesive repair. The material's not sticking, or whatever it is. And oftentimes, we turn to the stall next to us and go like, "Hey, Jason, can you come over here and take a look at this?" And now I get your opinion on what you think should be done in this repair. And at best, I think I'm going to probably get incomplete information from the person in the stall next to me. Or I go on social media and I say like, "Hey, can somebody help me with this?" And a couple things happen. One, we get the heck beat out of us, right? Like, people, you shouldn't be fixing cars. You don't know what you're doing. You're a hack. All these, we don't. There's no help there. Or again, we get that incomplete information. So what I've done with Back Bay is I've created a Discord server that I'm serving up content, and it's supported by experts from tool, equipment, product makers, vehicle makers. I'm assembling a team of experts that are waiting virtually in the Back Bay of every shop, so that when you need them, when you have a question on a sectioning procedure, a material identification, I'm having, again, problems with the tools, equipment, products, whatever that is, rather than turning to the world of social media, I'm connecting technicians directly with the people that I've worked with over my 25, 30-year career now. The Sean Collins from 3Ms of the world, and the Jerry Benanis from Ford, and the Ron Olsons of ProSpot. And so all this group of subject matter experts that build tools and design equipment and train on the products and write the OEM procedures, like, I'm bringing them into the Back Bay so that when a technician needs support, we're there for them and we can help them. And they're not getting an opinion. It's truly powered by professionals that know those tools, equipment, products, materials, specifications, whatever the procedures are. Just focusing on connecting those technicians directly with those experts through the Back Bay.
Okay, so that answers kind of my next question is, so this company is a culmination of all of your experience and expertise in your career, but also the experts, the friends, and the industry colleagues and the people who are backing you up with their expert knowledge. Yeah,
it's the people that I turn to when I have a problem, right? So at iCar, we had Ask iCar, and we built the RTS portal, and people can go in there, ask questions, and generally speaking, iCar can provide some directional advice, right? Like, yes, there is a section procedure, it's found in the manual. At Collision Hub, we had our Pick a Text service, which is a monthly subscription service where technicians could text us in questions and ask us, and we'd answer those and do the research. And from time to time, I'd run into a problem, like, I don't know the answer to this. I need to turn to my contact at company A, B, or C, and then I have that conversation. I tell you, Jason, in a one-on-one situation, like, this is what I found out from my contact about this particular procedure, application, whatever it is. So rather than do that, now what I'm doing is I'm connecting you, the technician, directly with the people that I turn to when I have a question. And nothing like that's ever been done before. And the response that I've gotten from those tool, equipment, product makers, the vehicle manufacturers, has been incredibly positive. A lot of them are just like the rest of us, right? They grew up around cars and they worked on cars, and at some point in their career, they were fortunate enough to get a job at their latest company. And they have been interested. They want to give back. They want to help technicians. They've had a similar experience as a technician. Like when I run into a roadblock, like I'm kind of on my own, or I'm turning for opinions of others. So the people that I've been inviting here, the people that I trust, the people that I know that are these technical experts from these companies, they're in there and they want to support and they want to encourage and they want to help. And it's not just them answering questions either. It goes so far beyond that. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with Discord. I'm going to get you in there because I want to build a body shop business page as well. I've got some other organizations and publications and technical information. It's not just hey, I have a question, I'm going to ask it and get an answer. It is really, I'm turning it. It's an education portal, right? So I've got content from all these tool equipment product makers that they're uploading. They're uploading SOPs and videos and product sheets and SDS and class schedules and whatever else they want. So it's all in a centralized location. Each one of those organizations has their own channel in there that they can monitor and manage, and technicians can go in there and ask questions and get replies directly from those tool equipment vehicle manufacturers. And so it's taking my nearly 30 years of being out at industry events and speaking at industry events and meeting all these fantastic people that have all this expertise and giving technicians direct access to those people. And that's what makes it so unique, is there's never been anything like that before. In addition to that, again, going back to that, that these technicians are the least supported group that I encounter on a regular basis. I think about a young technician that maybe works for a small independent that doesn't have a 401k plan or a retirement plan. They may not even have health insurance, at that facility. Like, I want to build tools to help them, not just inside the shop, but outside the shop. So I've got Torque Financial in here. Rachel's going to be in here and helping technicians, think about retirement and what is a Roth IRA and how do I set one up? Or maybe I want to start a college savings plan for my kid. What's a 529? And again, I don't have that expertise, right? But I have the connections out there. I've got High Lift Financial in there. So if a technician goes like, I want to buy the shop that I work at, my owner's getting ready to sell, like, how do I start thinking about it? So rather than just start from scratch with nothing, at least I want to connect them and give them the tools to talk to a Rachel or to talk to, a Matt and say like, hey, this is what I want to do. Like, where do I start? How do I even get there? And so I'm connecting them with across a broad range of spectrum. Again, not just technical, but also financial. I even added a mental health channel in there. We can do some fitness and nutrition. And I just want to build a community, a support community. And it's not a place for technicians to go ask other technicians how to do things. It's not a peer-to-peer kind of area. There is an area in Back Bay for peer-to-peer conversations. But again, I want it to be technician to subject matter expert conversations. And then those conversations are all in Discord. So everybody that's in there can see the threads, can see the conversations, can be engaged in the conversation. And if one technician has a question about a procedure or tool or product or equipment, chances are there's at least another technician or thousands of technicians that have the same question. And now all those technicians can experience that same conversation together and learn from it together. And it's not just technical support, but it's micro learning. There's micro learning taking place. And every time a technician proactively goes and looks for an answer, when they're engaged in proactive micro learning, the retention rate is higher, the completion rate is higher, the engagement rate is higher. It's because you as a technician or you as an individual, right? When you're looking for something, Jason, and you go to YouTube to find out how to replace the belt on your dryer, for example, right? Like that's the single thing that you need to know at that point in time. I don't need to know like how the dryer's made and like, all the different manufacturers, and some are this drive and some are that drive. I don't need all the features. I just need to like, how do I replace the belt in this particular scenario? You are more engaged because you are looking for a specific answer, and you're watching that video on YouTube, or you're reading the owner's manual, or you're whatever. You are more engaged, and the chances are you're going to finish that until the job is done. And now you've got that learning built up, that you've got that in your warehouse, if you will. And that's what Back Bay is becoming. It's not just tech support. It's true micro learning, and I can monitor how long you've been in here and where you're going, and we can assign badges. And And I could see a whole new kind of training world almost in here, and tool equipment product makers can upload courses and information and data. And it's a huge repository for a ton of content and education and resources and publications and everything in between.
Presented from the Ishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
So obviously we're living in a digital world, a virtual world, and it sounds like this information and training and support is available for these technicians on their mobile device, their tablet, their desktop. But I saw some welding training on your website too. Are you doing any in-person hands-on training as well, or is that virtual too?
Yeah, that's virtual too. So again, Back Bay is the technical support and micro learning site. It's kind of like a social media, but it's available on your phone, available on your desktop. I use it on my phone all the time. Again, I want the technicians to be able to be, when they're at the car, like, oh, like, hey, I'm working on this problem. Can you help me here? So that's why we've got it's mobile enabled. But yes, I've also got our OEM welding validation program, which is a remote mentor, if you will. So much like you and I have a conversation right here, I send the technician Bluetooth headphones and I watch them weld, and I can tell them, slow down, speed up, change your gun angle. So whatever conversation you need to do, we do multiple practice sessions. So it's tailored to each individual technician. If a technician only needs 15 or 20 minutes of training, great. If a technician needs several 1-hour training sessions, that's great too. The whole point is to make sure that those technicians understand how to set their equipment up properly, how to tune the welder, how to make the required welds. We use OEM material, so we're not using, just kind of off-the-shelf steel. We're using parts off of vehicles. The technician is following the OEM procedure. So if I'm working on a Toyota quarter panel for my welding coaching and training, we're going to be making open butt joints, or we're going to be making plug welds. We're going to be making what that vehicle maker recommends for that particular material thickness, for that particular application. So it's very much OEM specific. It's tailored to that individual technician and their training needs, and it's tailored to the equipment that they're using. Recognize, again, there's no one size fits all. And I mentioned the event issue with how we think about training, but we also again, each individual technician has their own specific training needs. If I'm working on, again, that 2024 Toyota Camry, and I'm going to be doing a weld bonding procedure with 3M adhesive and ProAssist equipment, my training needs, my immediate needs are vastly different than somebody who's working on a Ford Mustang with Cevotech and Fuser adhesive, right? So I need to know how to use each individual piece of tool, equipment, procedure, application, and that one size fits all training approach doesn't work. And I wanted to have something customized and tailored to each individual technician. And that's what both Back Bay does, as well as the OEM welding validation program. And then when that technician and I both feel comfortable that they're ready to go ahead and do the actual testing, we give them one shot to make the required welds. It's not hey, try again. Hey, congratulations, you passed. It is just like you're on the customer's vehicle. When we get on the call, I expect that welder's been tuned and adjusted, and that technician's ready to make the weld on that, whether it's an open butt joint with backing, plug weld, whatever the required welds are for that vehicle manufacturer. We're ready to go. You got one shot to make it, just like you do on that customer's car. But we don't do that until both that technician and I are comfortable that they're ready to go. And after each of those coaching sessions, I send both the technician and their direct supervisor kind of a report card of, these are the things that Jason did well on this weld. These are the things that Jason didn't do so well in this weld, so that we, not only the technician and I have that conversation, but now that supervisor knows, because I know how we can be sometimes. We go, yeah, things went really good. I did a great job. And so I want to make sure that both the technician, the supervisor, and everybody is on the same page. And again, once we're ready and we all feel confident that technician can pass the welding, then we go ahead and do the testing. We've had when I was at Collision, this is a program I took from Collision Hub with me. At Collision Hub, we had a couple of OEMs that have been involved in it and approved it. And the state of Rhode Island recognizes as completing their welding requirements. So we're kind of growing that as well and continue to expand that and get more and more shops in there. Because the weld training that's out there, the technicians need training. We've seen a lot of bad welds. We see them every day, and again, that's not doing anybody any good. I don't think it's not the fault of anybody. It's just we have some older technicians that are doing the same technique that they did 15, 20, 30 years ago, and things have changed dramatically. And so I'm trying to coach them up and get them familiar with today's vehicles and the impact that their heat has, and just kind of get them dialed into where they need to be.
Yeah. So how are you drumming up interest in your new venture? I mean, are you going straight to the technician, or are you going to the shop owner and saying, your technicians need this? Are you approaching MSOs and trying to talk to their leadership about the technicians needing this? Are you going straight to the technician, and then are you hitting events, trade shows, social media, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes to all of that. So I've got some individual technicians that are subscribing to Backbay. It's a membership program, so there's different tiers of membership. So I've got some technicians that are subscribing to it. I've got some shops that are investing in their technicians. This is a technician investment, I believe. So I really want the shops to invest in their technicians. Everyone talks about turnover and turnout and all these technicians leaving the industry. And we've seen it forever, right? They'll go down the shop for a nickel an hour more. And this is a tool that I think shops can use to invest in their technicians. Like, hey, Jason, when you have a problem with something, I want you to turn to Backbay. And so I've got some shops that are sponsoring their technicians to get in there, which again, I think my preferred route. I want the shops to invest in their technicians. $500 a year they can invest in their technicians and give them access to these contacts that I've built, give them access to all this technical content, all this educational opportunity, videos and think groups and nightly events. And I'm just, so I want the shops to invest in them. At some point I will certainly be hitting the trade show circuit at some point in some capacity. I'm not exactly sure what, to talk to, again, those owners and managers, not the technicians, because again, technicians aren't there. I don't have the opportunity to talk to them there. I've also got some programs set up. I've had some tool equipment manufacturers say, can I advertise in Backbay? My answer to them has been no, we're not going to do any advertising. Instead, what I want you to do is take those advertising dollars and sponsor X number of technicians. So if you've got $2,000 that you want to spend on an ad to put in Backbay, sponsor 4 technicians for a year. Now you've got a technician on the floor that's an advocate for your tools, equipment. It's an opportunity for you to get feedback directly from them about what do they like about that tool equipment product, what don't they like about that. I think about the marketing and social media aspect of it again, right? So rather than having an employee in the brand of that shirt for that company, now I've got an actual technician that's working on an actual vehicle in a real life repair setting that I can think about, like a grassroots kind of marketing campaign with an individual technician, and have an army of technicians using my tools, equipment, products, giving me feedback, being again that advocate for them. And then I've got some other technicians or some other equipment manufacturers that want to give access to Backbay with the purchase of equipment. So buy a spot weld or a rivet gun, whatever, 1 year access to Backbay. So there's a number of different ways I'm approaching it. I'm trying to reach out there. Social media, certainly I've got some social media. I'm not as active as I want to be on Instagram. I got a few Facebook posts here and there. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing a podcast with my nephew Bryce, who's in the industry. We're going to shoot our first episode pretty soon here, and kind of talk from a technical technician to technician standpoint. And he's like my target demographic. He's a 22-year-old technician. And he's internet savvy. He's humble enough to ask the right questions and knows that he doesn't know everything. So that's kind of those are the people that I want in Backbay. Those people I want to be working with and learning from. So the approach to reaching technicians ultimately is multi-angled, and I'll be out in talking to people and hopefully getting some more technicians engaged and getting active in here, including Spanish-speaking technicians. So I get that question a lot. So I'll just jump into that right away. So I get a lot of questions like, well, is it available in Spanish? Yeah, it is available in Spanish. And I can do up to 100 other different languages. So in Discord, I've got a bot that handles translations for me. And so I can have a Spanish technician come in here and post a question in Spanish. I can get the English translation of that. I can reply in English. It translates it back to Spanish for that technician. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. But if, again, the question is, can a section a rear rail on a Ford Explorer? Well, I don't need it. It doesn't need to be spot on from a perfect Spanish to English translation. The gist of it is, yeah, there is a section procedure. There's multiple, and kind of here's where you find that information. So, but I can do it in Spanish, and I can do it in Portuguese and Russian and Japanese and Chinese and everything in between too. So that's a unique. I'm just going down that path now. I actually was working on it this morning, right before our call. to automate that process a little bit quicker. I can type in a prompt and it'll automatically translate things for me. Now I need to build separate channels for English and Spanish and French and different channels for Canadian French. I've talked to some Canadians as well, and make that available. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's a huge differentiator way for a Spanish speaking technician or French or whatever else. You come in here and ask a question in Spanish, you get notified, see it in English, reply in English, and then get the answer in Spanish. Like that's a pretty big game changer, I think.
Yeah, we talked about welding earlier, but obviously vehicle diagnostics and ADAS is a huge area where technicians need to learn and have a lot of questions. Is that an area that you're focusing on as well?
Yeah, I've got a diagnostics collision repair diagnostics channel in here or category in here. I've got some tool equipment makers in there already. I've got some other ADAS organizations that are in there already. So yeah, whether it's welding, structural, non-structural, collision repair diagnostics, refinishing. The only thing I'm not getting in is estimating, right? I haven't gone down that. There's enough other estimating information out there. There's tons of support for estimators. There's classes. There's software, hardware. There's enough out there for estimators and production management. There's just not enough for technicians. So I'm focusing on the technicians. So if it's a collision repair diagnostic technician, yeah, I want them in here. If they're a finishing technician, yeah, I want them in here. If they're a structural technician, yeah, absolutely want them in here. So it's very technician focused. Not that owners and managers and supervisors aren't welcome to come join, but again, the content that is in here are designed for those men and women that are fixing cars every single day.
And so far in your experience with this company, I know it's very new, what has been the major demand or need you've seen from technicians, information or content-wise?
I think it's just a continuation of stuff that I've already known from Ask iCar and from Collision Hub with the Picatech. It's typical. Is there a section procedure? What's the material makeup? OEM procedural interpretation. I think the OEMs have done an incredible job over the past 10 to 15 years of making improvements, but there are still gaps and there's still things that I'm not really exactly sure what this means, but again, I can reach out to that OEM. And so technicians oftentimes, when they finally get into a procedure, they're reading something like, I'm not exactly sure what it wants me to do here. I can now through Back Bay, and we can have those conversations. And the same with tools and equipment. I see kind of back to the SEMA example, right? So what happens a lot, and I think any shop owner or manager that's out there watching this could probably attest that they've probably been guilty of this at some point in their career. But we go to a trade show or we go to an event, and I know that my technicians need a new welder, for example, and I see a show special on something. And so I make arrangements and I purchase this new piece of equipment, and it gets delivered to the shop, and I go, hey Jason, your new widget's out in the shop waiting for you. Except you've never been trained on it properly. You're not exactly sure how to use it. You don't know how, when should I use it, this tab or that tab, or when do I use this arm attachment or that arm attachment, or when, whatever it is, how do I set the welder up? How do I prepare the adhesive? How do I turn whatever the question is. So you've never been properly trained on it. So then you just kind of wing it, right? And you go out there and you try it and you go like, you know what, this thing isn't working for me. And so you take that piece of equipment and you shove it in the corner and it collects dust, and you say, you know what, you make this blanket statement as a technician, like everything from that company is junk, right? So now I've got an owner that's just invested, potentially thousands of dollars, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars in equipment that's now sitting in the corner. I've got a technician that's not using that equipment that can make their lives better had they known exactly what to do with it or how to use that equipment properly. And now I've got an equipment manufacturer that doesn't even know that they've got a black eye from this technician or from this organization that purchased the equipment because they've never interacted with them. But so now I can connect that technician with the people that made that equipment so that they can go like, well, here's the problem, Jason, you're not doing this properly, or you're not preparing this properly, or you need to attach this. Like now that equipment works as designed. I've got a happy technician, I've got a happy equipment manufacturer, I've got a happy shop owner, and ultimately I've got a happy customer because their vehicle is repaired properly and efficiently because that technician was trained on how to use that equipment and now knows how to do it. Or conversely, I think about like a paint distributor, right? They sell all kinds of different products. Well, I don't want to call my local paint distributor when I have a problem with my welder, right? Like I want to talk to the person that built the welding equipment. And now, through Back Bay and through Collision ProAssist, That's where we're heading, and that's what we're doing. And one of the interactions, literally, this happened totally organically. But the first week that I launched Back Bay, I had one of my former Picatech customers join Back Bay, and I had an equipment manufacturer that I was working with. I didn't know them very well, but that had started a conversation with them back when I was at Collision Hub. And within a week, I had this technician from the Midwest, I believe from the Midwest, talking to this equipment manufacturer from the East Coast and having a conversation about this product and how to use it, and the features and the benefits of it. I'm like, it worked. This is exactly what I'm trying to do, is connect these technicians with these tool equipment manufacturers to make their lives better, to make sure that they've got the coolest and neatest and best performing tools and equipment, that they understand how to use it, and that they repair the vehicle properly. And then the equipment manufacturer's got a customer for life because they've got a satisfied customer.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. And it sounds like the theme here is technician support, right? And going back to your title, Chief Technician Advocate. So you've got training here on welding and other sort of things they do every day, but you've also got mental health in there, and financial 401k, and because these guys are talking to each other, you have your training that you're offering, you have your network of experts, but there's also an area where these guys can converse and discuss about everything that is on their mind, right? So it just sounds like that's the theme here, and I couldn't be happier for you, Jason. I know, starting your own business from the ground up is a lot of work, and it takes a huge leap of faith, and I couldn't be more happy for you. Obviously, we go back a long way, as we said, and I love that you introduced me to iCar way back in the day, and then your experience with Collision Hub. But this is wonderful, and so if guys want to know more information or get a subscription, how do they find that out?
Yeah, so my website is collisionproassist.com. I actually do also offer a free 7-day trial of Back Bay. No credit card required, so it's not one of those where you have to put your credit card in and it gets charged automatically 7 days. I hate that, right? So that drives me nuts. So I have a free 7-day trial. It's a multi-step process. So the first thing you need to do is get a Discord account. Go to discord.com, create a username and password, typical kind of social media platform, if you will. So create an account on Discord. And then what they do is go to WHOP.com/Back trial. Again, this is all linked directly from Collision Pro Assist as well, the WAP information. So I've got a video that I'm working on, or there's a video on there to kind of walk you through the step-by-step process. So you get your Discord account, go to WHOP.com, Back trial, /Back trial, and create a WAP account. And then what we do is we tie the WAP account directly to the Discord channel, and then you're in there for 7 days for free. And then again, if it's something that you like, I've got a $15 a month Back Bay Pass, which gives you read-only access. So you can't interact, you can't ask questions, but you can go and see everything that's in there. It's kind of you can watch the videos, you can follow along the conversation. You just can't ask the tool equipment product maker something. You can interact in the peer-to-peer area, just not in the tech support area. And then my Back Bay Pro subscription is $40 a month, and that gives you access to all the different channels to be able to ask questions, pose questions, get involved, ask questions in there. Then Back Bay Premier is my Premier level for $50 a month. That's where you've got full access to everything. You can interact, ask questions, converse. I'm also going to do some evening events. That's going to be the opportunity for additional educational opportunities. So we've built this for technicians. It's designed by technicians. So I've got an area in here for help us improve. I had a technician say, hey, I'd like some more glue pulling training, for example. I think the first kind of live event that we're going to have in here is we're going to probably have glue pulling. So I've got Kiko's in here. I've got Cam Auto in here. I've got Sticky Cold Glue. I'm bringing BTAG in here as well. So, we've got expertise in glue pulling, and now we can have like an evening event where we can just talk. Technicians can ask questions like, "Hey, why doesn't this work? Or why, I'm running into this problem. Why isn't it?" I can actually get those questions directly from those experts. So there'll be some nightly events. I've got big aspirations for this. I want to have a technician-only conference at some point. I started by kind of half joking about it, but the more I think about it, like maybe it's something we can do. We have a technician cruise someday, right? Like I also want to with this give technicians the opportunity to have experiences that I've had, that you've had. Jason, you and I have had the opportunity to meet some really cool people in our careers, and and listen to some amazing keynote addresses and have some fantastic food and go to Top Golf with, different companies. Like, I want technicians to be able to experience that. I want them to be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And so I want to do a lot of technician events and just keep growing it. And I want to, like I said, Chief Technician Advocate is for a reason, because I want to be an advocate for the technician. I want to support them. I want to make their lives better. And again, all these men and women that fix cars every single day, they're the reason that I've been able to have the experience that I've had. I want them to have, to share some of those similar experiences.
Awesome. Well, this is great, Jason, because there's no industry that needs training more than this industry right now. So this was great. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate your time too, and it's good to see you as always.
I'm Jason Stahl. Thanks for watching. Thanks everybody for tuning in to Body Shop Business, the podcast. Check out bodyshopbusiness.com for more podcasts.